forgot my helper today. Yeah. Okay, so for right now, we're concerned about two things. One, well, they both involve seeing if the motor fits at all. So we need to know if the bottom of the engine fits, and that's important because it's a lot wider than the top. And then we also need to make sure, well, obviously the top fits. And down here, we have a clearance of about, say from right around here-ish to about here-ish, we have about 22 inches. Remember, that's like stock height. When it raises up, it's gonna pinch this upwards, so it's gonna pull in a little bit inwards, but we'll check for that. But for the sake of noting, we have about maximum 22 inches. And then up here, from the inside of this coil here to the inside of this coil here, we have about 18 inches. So those are our two dimensions that we have to make sure that we are within. Let's go check on the motor. Well, unfortunately, I did put all the electronics and everything back on, but at least I can still get in here and get a rough measurement and line things up roughly. Let's say from right about here, right there. We were probably about dead on about 18 inches on the bottom. And the top we only have to really worry about is the head. So let's measure from one side of the head to the other. We're approximately 17 inches. So if we had 22 and 18 clearance, and we have 17, what was this again? About 18 inches. I think we might just clear it. And I know for the back is a whole different issue, but we have already design changes we need to make on the frame. So we'll get to there. We have this giant open spot for the original engine was. So the fact that we're going to be putting the engine centralized around here means that we will have plenty of room over here. Our main issue is, well, one, oh, of course I put that back on. There we go. Okay, now that we got that off, these are just the brake calipers that go inside the tire. We don't have to worry about that. That'll be out of the way. We do have a distribution block for the brakes that is up here, which will have to be moved. That's soft line. I say that because I think, yeah, this bottom line is hard line. Oh no, it transitions soft. Okay. Oh, but we do have a hard line that runs to the back of the frame right here. It's all the way down to, okay, yep, to the rear brakes, which goes over here. That might be an issue for when we have to remove this whole top frame. And the reason why that has to be done is A, we need to widen the front so we can get the engine slid back a little bit. So this has to be all widened, so this whole top bar has to come out. This strength bar right here has to come out. I want to lower the center of like where you're sitting here. So the top bar here is going to come out. Probably going to cut it here-ish. I want to keep this rear diff and transmission mount so it's nice and strong for the shocks. So we'll just cut it here, here. Have to remove this paneling here, which means we're going to have to remove these transmission linkages. So basically from here to about right here, all this front suspension area is going to have to come out, be widened probably till all the way back here. That way so it's more of a get in versus a get on around. I'll see if I can keep these foot pads. The next issue is steering. Our steering linkage is right in the way of where the engine needs to be. The whole steering shaft and everything. So that's gonna have to all come out. We'll have to rethink about how we're gonna get to these joints to pivot the tire. My dad had an idea that we actually switch both of the wheel hubs, because the wheel hubs are actually what attach the shocks and everything, because it's McPherson. It's actually good that we didn't do double A-arm for the sake that we would have to be dealing with the bottom A-arm here and then a higher A-arm, which wouldn't have fit the motor. So now that since we only have a bottom A-arm, we have enough room above it to put the engine. Otherwise the engine would be way too high for our application. But yeah, so if we switch both of the wheel hubs around, our steering and everything will be shifted from the rear to the front, which hopefully will be able to change direction of the tires, rack and pinion from the front. Then we don't have to be dealing with this like cam-shaped kind of steering system. So yeah, that should work. That'll shift our steering from about 4 inches behind the pivot point to about 4 inches in front of. Puts us around here. That puts us right at the front bumper area. And hopefully hopefully the engine will be behind that. So yeah, it should steer. Our steering linkage should be right in front of the engine, at least in front of the crankcase portion of it. So yeah, that'll work. So I'll have to disconnect the brakes back here and up here. I need to disconnect the shocks from here and here. We need to cut this part of the frame off, either way down below or up top. Depends on how much is actually needed. We need to at least cut it below the pivot point for the steering, but maybe above the front diff. That way so we have enough clearance above it so we can put motor mounts above the front diff. Yeah, and so when we do that, if this front beam is disconnected, oh, that's right, we have this still connected. Because of its angle, I think I just might cut it off down here. That way it'll get out of our way and everything. That does mean for now, the only thing that's going to be holding this with any stiffness is going to be the bottom frame, which, you know, for no jumps, no one standing on it, should be fine. I don't like that at the moment, but, you know, it's what we're going to have to work with. And especially relocate this battery tray. This is awful. I get that standard spot, but still, I don't like it. Okay, so I'm going to start with the brake lines. Drill for rivet, wrenches for brake line. Let's get that rivet out first. I did it. I'm going to disconnect the brake line from up here. Okay, this is a 7/16. Interesting size. Yeah, it's stripping out. It's a really snug fit, so it's not the wrench's fault. And that's for when the penetrant spray doesn't work. You see on the bolt next to it, see? Yeah, so the front bolts came off just fine. Trying to find a better spot on it just in case. Let me see if I can get all the other ones off first. I don't have to bleed them anyway, so, you know, why not do it properly? Okay, flat, ooh, that's hot. Front right brake is disconnected. Front left brake came undone. So now we're just dealing with handlebars and rear brake line. Okay, to be able to get to that better, I'm just gonna take out the little manifold block. You have to remember, there is one part of the electrical that I took off of this line. And that was the brake switch sensor, which does connect to this manifold block. And that just checks if there's pressure in the brake line for, like, you know, stuff like brake lights and stuff. Let me try and disconnect it here. It looks to be two different sizes. There we go. Okay, so it's a 5/8 and a 7/16. Oh no. It just smushed the brake line connector again. I can see brake fluid coming around the connector, so I know it's damaged. Okay, let me see if I can feed this whole thing out of here then. And we'll just call that another day kind of project. If I can even get that through there. There we go. And call this a not right now project. I think it might be easier just getting all new brake lines and stuff for this. Okay, what is next? What is this? Oh, that's the speedometer cable. Okay, so let's retract this back through. That goes to the rear. Okay, so I think I need to start looking at the steering. I do have to remember that once the steering comes off, it obviously will not be able to steer. So we have a ball joint here, and that might be a Heim joint. I can't tell from this angle. It probably is with a rubber boot over it. So I actually want to take off the steering from the Heim joints in the middle. Yeah, I want to do it like that. That way so I don't have to take off the ball joints, because I plan on reusing those in the exact same spot as they're currently in. Oh, perfect, 9/16, just like a lot of the other things on this. Oh, I do have a 9/16, here it is. Oh yeah, duh, because I used it earlier. It's a very snug fit. And that came off actually fairly clean, good. Might have to get the breaker bar out for that one. Okay. I'm just turning the wheels. I didn't even think about that. Okay. See if this one does it. Put the breaker bar underneath it instead. And that did it with ease. If you can't get it with the small tool, get it with the big tool. These tires cannot be steered. At least not together. There we go. It was already enough hard to move. Hey, if it's grinder time, it's grinder time. Because right now the frame is stock. It has value to someone else that has stock. It won't be in a few seconds if I decide it is ready to not be stock. I'm first going to try and get this bolt out right here. Now, of course, I made it the same size. There we go. That pops right out. Now nothing is touching this frame here. Nothing is touching right through here. Nothing is touching over here. The only thing that's holding up this top frame is the steering. Since this isn't connected to anything, maybe I should pull that out now. Oh, huh. Nothing to show, it's just a really, really big castle nut that holds the steering on. Thing is, that might just be getting cut off, so I don't know if that really matters or not. Okay, well I know where I'm gonna start. I'm gonna start by cutting off these tabs on this upper support bracket. Okay, got that part. Whew! Almost there. Cool. Cool, and there's one more weld. Can't quite reach from the top, I don't think. I think I can get it from the bottom though. It's time for the mini angle grinder. Okay, so that got most of the weld off. Full charge, yep. Cool. It's really slow progress, but it's making it. Maybe I can get it from the inside now. Yeah, let me give you a better sight on this. This is held on just by like a hair. Got it. Nice. Oh my God. There. The next thing is I need to cut probably around right here-ish to get this frame off of here. I'm not sure yet if I want to cut right here or up here on these bars. Actually, I think I'm going to have to cut down here because I can't actually keep these because they're too narrow. So let's cut here, 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 and here. And that should separate the front frame from the back frame minus this linkage right here and the shocks. Oh, that's hot. It melted some of my jacket. Aww. Well, whatever. Okay, so now I need to cut here and here. Oh, I don't think anything is holding on. I think that's just it floating above. Okay, so now the only thing that's holding on this top frame here, there's 2 cuts there, 2 cuts along here, and disconnecting the shocks. Now I just need to make the decision of how far out I cut from here. Well, I can always cut more off. I at least want to stay in front of the shock. So I'm gonna think maybe, right now I'm gonna cut right behind the battery box. So right here would be good. There we go. Oh, I just stepped on my grinder blade. Well, it's a good thing they're cheap. Yeah, wow, that sprung out a lot. Like a lot. That's half an inch. Yeah, so the only thing that's holding this top bar on now is the supports in the front and the front shocks. I'm debating how high up this should be cut. I don't want to cut it at the base here. One, because it's really hard to get to the cut. And two, I want the actual bracket to be above the diff because I want to be able to put an engine mount, like a plate, above that diff. So I want it to at least be above the diff. But right where it's perfect, there's holes. And I don't want to go too far up because, you know, I don't want the engine too far above. Bit of a predicament. I might actually cut right at the bottom of the top hole. That should give me enough room above the diff and enough room to weld a plate on. But by doing that, I'm willingly noting that these shocks are not going to be able to be directly supported anymore. And if I do, it's going to have to be a brace that goes over the top of the engine. Yeah, I think that's the best idea. Yep. Swapped it out for a new battery. What was I doing again? Oh yeah, I was cutting that. That is through. Of course that would happen. Why didn't I think that would happen? But by doing that, I am willingly noting that these shocks are not going to be able to be directly supported anymore. Of course that would happen. Oh. Well, I'm glad it's on camera at least. Yeah. Oh, I didn't think that would happen. Ooh, careful. Oops. Ooh, nope, no leaning. Perfect. 3/4 inch. Okay, does that lift straight up off of there? This should just lift straight up and off. Well, it came off. I don't know if you noticed something else. I probably should have checked for that. That's me being dumb again. But there we go. Look at that. Weight reduction that we're just gonna add right back later. Oh no. Yeah, that does flex the frame quite a bit, so don't want to stand that. I really don't want to bend it. What now? If I can't move it, at least not easily. Oops. This back section, I like it. We're just gonna keep it the way it is. I have no issue with this right here. Wow, that's a lot harder to compress without that much weight on it. Thank you for watching today's video. If you want to keep on watching series like this, here's the playlist. If you don't want to watch that, here's another video that YouTube recommends.